Hoy vamos a tener un tour.
Ok, ahora explícales qué van a hacer. Pásales el papel a cada uno.
Vamos a hacer.
¿Es una lista?
Es una lista y cuando lo mires adentro lo pones como una lista.
Si no saben lo que es, pregunten, ¿ok? Porque el bombero les va a hacer el tour en inglés. Así que, y las palabras ahí están en español, ¿ok? Así que si tienen dudas, pregunten.
Ok, y después de que terminamos ahí, tenemos más información y vamos a leer. Continuaremos con la clase después, ¿eh? Bravo, apláudanles a las niñas. Muy bien, gracias.
Cuando voy a...
Ok, pásale, Eli tiene la plaza.
Eres la única Emma. Única, grande y
Oye,
nuestra.
¿me comí la N, la N?
Sí.
No
sé, de manera de hambre, ¿cómo la letra?
Vamos, rápido, Ana.
¿Sabes dónde conectan?
Les pido por favor que pongan atención y estén callados, ¿ok? Vamos.
Ana, y ya vengan aquí. A ver. Ya.
Vamos, a ver.
¿Quién no tiene el...
¿A quién le falta lápiz?
Sí, pero tengo en el coche.
Pero ahí. ¿Te vais también?
Estoy saludando.
Entendí que lo sé.
I'm Don. What you got there? Oh, okay. Just
They're all part of a Spanish class or group.
Yes, this is Spanish class.
Los somos bomberos.
Yeah.
So yes, okay. Welcome. I'm Don. This is Steve. Okay. And I'm the captain. He's the driver. And you'll see the firefighter when we go inside. But he's cooking. That's in the kitchen. We're going to show you guys around the fire engine to start. Okay. If you have any questions, you can just ask us. Shout out. Anybody have any questions right now?
Raise your hand if you have a question. Raise your hand. No? No? Okay. Not yet.
All right. Well, let's go over here. I'll let Steve take over the department. See all the stuff we have.
Fire engine, obviously, anytime we call, we jump in the fire engine, and basically we bring everything with us that we think we might need. So we go on a lot of medical calls. Every fire department responds on medicals as well as fires and traffic accidents. So we have medical equipment. We have automated defibrillators for people that have heart attacks. We have oxygen. We check blood pressures and pulse rates. Just anything for basic life support for EMT ones. But if we also have a fire, then we have our fire hoses. That's our smallest one, which is up there on a reel. And then we start getting bigger. Those are all called pre-connects, and they're already plumbed into the pump. So if we show up, there's a fire, we pull one of those. My job is over on the other side. I'll show you the pump panel. I charge the line, and the firefighter puts the fire out. And his job is to tell us how he wants us to go about the fire out in the field first. This is our medical department. And then here's some hand tools that we would use on like grass fires, which here at Fresno, we have a lot of them. Our biggest threat is the river bottom. So you get a fire down there, it's not that big of a deal, but then eventually it's going to run up that hill and get all the houses at the top of it. So we want to keep it down at the bottom. And then over here are some of the cooler tools that we have. What do you think the worst part of a fire is? Do you think people get burned in fires more, or do you think that they succumb to smoke, breathing in smoke more often? Smoke. There you go. The smoke is what gets you. So hopefully you guys have been taught how to get out of your house in case there's a fire. And one of the key things is stay away from the smoke. If the smoke is here, then you're down crawling on the floor. Okay, you don't want to breathe the smoke. Anyways, we have this big powerful fan here. So when we have a fire, we get in there, we knock out the fire, and then we want to quickly blow the smoke out. So we set this up at the front door. We open up a few windows on the back side, and within a minute or two, a regular house will be cleared out of smoke. So that's what that is. It's a big thing. We use a chainsaw for ventilation. Sometimes blowing or having the smoke going out a window isn't your best option. So we have guys go up on the roof, and we cut a hole in the roof, and we push the smoke out that way. That's a common use for the chainsaw. And then these are called the jaws of life. I don't know if you've heard of those, but they're common for traffic accidents. People get in a bad accident and the car crumples around them. We have to cut the car away to get them out of it. So that's what these are. It's like a big old pair of scissors, except it's made of cut metal. So those are some of our cooler tools that we carry. We'll just go on around, and then the last one is go all around with the calf. Here we have ladders. Obviously, I said we go up to the roof, so we have to have ladders to get up into the roof. And we have short ones that are made to get up into the attic, and it's sort of small and compact. And then we have longer ones. We have roof to get up, or a ladder to get up to a one-story roof, or we have a taller ladder that we can get up to a second story house. And then if we have to get up to a taller roof than that, we have trucks that come in. They have longer ladders.
¿Quieren llenar su papel al final para que pongan atención?
Yo creo que eso es mejor porque para que escuchen y puedan hacer preguntas después, ¿ok?
Yeah. And if you have any questions, if I'm telling you about something you want to ask, go ahead and raise your hand up, and I'll try to answer.
Oye.
Okay. These are just what are called salvage covers. A lot of the times, we go in and say it's a small fire, smoldering up in your attic. Well, the last thing we want to do is destroy the possessions that are down in the house. We don't want to pull the ceiling down all over your living room and ruin your couch and your TV and all that. So if it's small and we have time to do it, we'll take these, we'll bring everything to the center of the room and we cover it up. And these are waterproof. And drape it over it, and then we'll go about our work. And after we're done, we clean it up, and hopefully, everything that we put underneath there is protected and not damaged.
Wow.
So that's what we use these for. And then these are just wildland post packs. Grass fires are different than house fires. Obviously, the grass fires are moving, and part of our job is to catch up to it. So we have to. Sometimes the engine has to park, and we just have to keep laying hose from the engine. And that's what these packs are for. So we're chasing that fire, and every time we get to the end of the hose line, we have to stop, connect another one, and then keep going. So all the engines have hose, and guys come hustling up until we hook the head, and we stop it from running away from us, and then put out the rest of it. Yes.
Do you have more house fires or grass fires?
I would say more house fires. Obviously in the summertime, in the winter, we don't have really any grass fires. But in the summertime, we get them, in different parts of town. But Fresno, we actually have a very large percentage in comparison. Most metro fire departments probably run 80, even 90% medical calls. We run, about 70%? So that means 30% of our fires. So for whatever reason, Fresno, we have a lot of fires. You know what? I think it's more work to catch a grass fire. Those wildland guys, that's why in the wildland fire service, most of them are about 18 years old. They start out young because you got to be young and fit. Us city guys, we can be a little bit heavier. Not quite one older. Anyways, talking about hose, sometimes, for a house fire, obviously we need a lot of water. Well, our engine carries 750 gallons, which sounds like a lot of water, right? Well, it actually, if we have a good going fire, we're going to need a lot more than that. So what this is large diameter hose that we hook up to the hydrants. You guys all know what fire hydrants are, right? You see them around town all the time. Well, that's where we get our water. So we hook up that big hose to it and lay it over to the pumping engine, and then we have all the water we need. So that's what the big hose back here is. And then these are just, this is a hand line, but it flows a lot of water, and it takes a couple, 3 firemen on the end of it to be able to control it.
Before you guys go, let's come this way. I want to show you one thing that might be interesting to you is our medical equipment, and then I'll let Steve do the pump. And then we'll go inside. So like Steve said, we do a lot of medical calls. Fire service in general, we do a lot of medical, paramedic kind of work. So I just wanted to show you guys these parts. This is our big medical bag. You want to hold it?
Niños,
It's got
el
oxygen in it.
medical bag es un botiquín, por si lo quieren poner en su lista, ¿ok? Yo lo
It
digo.
has an oxygen tank. If somebody's sick, we can give them oxygen. We have different types of masks, including masks for kids, and different sizes for kids. So we can give them oxygen when they're sick, just like at the hospital. This here is another way we deliver oxygen, which is if they're not breathing at all. There's a bag. I can't open it, but it's basically like a big balloon in here. We can put a mask on it, and we can do like CPR. You've heard of CPR? So we don't do mouth to mouth, but we use a mask, and we can put pure oxygen into their lungs and keep them alive. So if they're very, very hurt or very, very sick, we have those, and we even have a smaller size for kids. We hopefully would never use that, which we don't usually have. So that's some of our equipment there, all our oxygen stuff. And we've got different types of bandages and stuff like that in these compartments. These are masks for us when we get sick or somebody's really sick. More. Lots of those. Here, I'll show you some big bandages. Here's some big bandages that we use. You've seen like at the doctors after you cut yourself, big rolls of gauze, stuff like that, different pads for bigger cuts and stuff like that. Scissors, so we can do cut some stuff off if they've got too many clothes on for us to get to the injury. Okay, so that's that. Another thing we carry is a defibrillator, which is like you've probably seen it in the movies where somebody has a heart attack, they go clear, they go zap, and they zap them, bring them back to life, and we have one here. We got this is for like what they call a heart attack. So we just have a little machine here, it's like a big battery pack. And we can turn it on, and this button here it has a lightning bolt on it. We put these pads, you can see this picture. We put these pads on their chest, different areas, and then this machine will read the heartbeat, and when it's the right time, we hit the button and we shock them, and we can get their heart to stop having a heart attack. So we carry all that same stuff that the ambulance does. We work with the ambulance, so we usually start, and then the ambulance comes and they take them all the way to the hospital. All the medical work. It's a big part of our training. So, any of you guys interested in being doctors, nurses, firefighters? Do you? That's a good thing. We need those. What kind of scientist do you know?
Maybe one that discovers fossils.
Oh, yeah, like archaeologist or a paleontologist? Yeah. That'd be really cool. You can travel all over the world. I'd like to do that too. That's all our stuff. These are just bigger bandages, stuff like that. Okay, I just wanted to show you guys the medical stuff. Yeah. Some of this is career. I know it's really early if you guys are worried about your career, but just so you know, to become a firefighter, boys and girls can do it. In fact, our chief, our big boss, is over all of us. He's a woman. So it's not something that just men do. Okay, so the girls are very interested. All right, and it's a good job. Fun and exciting. You have a good schedule. Well, you're always looking. You're always doing homework. That's the bad part. When you go inside, I'll show you. I'm doing homework right now. I just said we always have tests. So you never get it. Most jobs are like that. You have training. You got it. So the key is keep those trains up. Keep spending, right? You can do anything you want.
obviously we bring some cold drinks with this because it gets hot, we get thirsty. Some more hose rolls, a spare nozzle, some traffic cones in case we're out in traffic. We try to make sure, cars don't run us over. And over here are some more hand tools. This is what's typically known as a fireman's axe. So I don't know if any of your parents have like an axe at home for chopping wood. They usually don't have this big spike on the backside. So that's what sort of makes it unique. That makes it a fireman's axe. And then up here, this is sort of where my domain is. Captain Dom told you that I'm the driver. Well, my job if we have a fire is, I drive the engine to the call, but then if we have to fight fire, it's then my job to run the pump panel. So all these tools or things here are just tools for me to make extra hose connections and stuff if the pre-connected lines don't work.
So, a question.
Yes.
The person that is the chauffeur of the fire truck is always the person that connects the hoses?
Well,
Not really.
not necessarily,
Oh,
but
okay.
like I said, most of our firefighting is done with these lines that are already pre-connected. It's just sometimes, say you get into some of these really big apartment complexes, but the driveways don't really go everywhere, then we'll have to just park wherever we have to park, and then we'll have to extend other hose lines. They're called trunk lines or supply lines, and then use bundles and other hoses. So then, we have to do some connecting and stuff to these outlets.
Oh, okay.
But the majority of our structural firefighting is taken care of with these pre-connected lines. They're 200 feet long, which pretty much gets you back to just about every, to the back of any occupancy. So anyways, like I said, if we pull up and there's a fire, then the firefighter will pull the line that he or she wants to use. I will look up here and see which one he or she pulled, and then my job is to charge that line. So when I park it, I engage the pump. So now the pump is sitting there spinning, and it's ready to flow water. And once I pull this valve, the water then goes out to the end of the hose line to the nozzle. And then I dial up the pressure to the amount of pressure so that the firefighter has a good flow of water. Because if they don't have enough pressure, it just sort of dribbles out and it's not effective. I got to give them plenty of pressure to reach. Yes.
Do all firefighters work, or do some of them just stay here?
At the station, no. What our deployment here in most of Fresno City is there's 3 people per apparatus. We do have some 4-person apparatus, and we're hoping to get to the point where we're all 4 personnel. But so no, there's 3 of us. Anytime the tongues go off and this engine goes somewhere, all 3 of us get on. And even when we have to do routine things like go to the grocery store to get our groceries for the 2 days that we're here, we all have to go together. Because the problem is, if we don't go together and then we get a call, then we have to waste time running back here to pick up somebody. So everything we do, sometimes people think it's sort of funny that it takes 3 of us. 2 of us are just wandering along, following the guy doing the shopping, but otherwise, then we get separated and it just goes down.
How long does it take you to get out after a call from here?
We're supposed to be, our goal is to be rolling out the front door within a minute.
Wow.
Now, if it's a fire call, we have a little bit of a delay because we have to get in, at least basically, into our gear. The firefighter will get fully dressed up. The captain will pretty much get fully dressed. Myself as the driver, the coat sort of interferes, so I'll put my drops on my bottoms on the pants, and then when I get to the scene, if I'm not the pumping engineer, then I'll finish dressing out and be ready to go in with the guys.
So that's it's boots and the first part of the uniform, the equipment. So it's already like set up. So you just put your foot and
we call them turnouts, and that's sort of why we've got them turned out over our boots. You want to see what we look like when we're all dressed up to go into a fire?
Yeah.
Okay. I can do that. So anyway, if we get a call, then obviously I got to get out of these. See, we have zippers in our boots just so it makes them that much faster to get in and out of. Up here on the north end, we don't get as many fires. Down on the south end, those guys had to lace their shoes on and off every time. I mean, there's some of the rigs that get 20 plus calls a day. So they'd be in and out of they'd wear their laces out. So, take my safety boots off, and I pull these on. These just come up, and it's just simple Velcro, belt, and then put on the suspenders, make sure pants don't fall down. And then we have our turnout coat. So this is basically what I'm going to show you is everything we put on to go into a working structure fire. So we have to protect every inch of our skin, because if it's exposed to the heat, because it can be several hundred degrees inside of a burning house. If I don't cover myself up, then I'm going to come out of there with burns. So this is my hood. And I put on this coat. Zipped up. Hey Don, can you grab my helmet off of the dash? And then the key part to all of our gear, I mean, obviously this protects us from sharp objects and the heat and steam. That's another danger when you're putting water on fire. It creates a lot of steam. Well, we can get burned from the steam too. So it has a vapor barrier also, so it protects us from that. But again, like we discussed, smoke is what hurts people in fires. So we can't breathe the smoke, but we have to go inside. So what do? We bring in a big old tank of air with us. That's all this is. The air we're breathing right now, we compress a whole bunch of it down into a bottle, and this gives us about 30 minutes of work time inside of a smoky house.
How do you put the air in it?
Well, we have a compressor, but it's not like an air compressor at home where you fill up your tires. It has special filters on it, and it really makes sure the air is clean before they put it in there, so it's good to breathe.
It's like scuba diving.
Yeah.
How heavy is it?
These are what, about 30 pounds?
Yeah, about 30 pounds.
Something like that. I mean, by the time we put all of our gear on, we're wearing 60 something pounds of gear.
Okay, class, what do you call this in Espanol?
Muy bien, thank you.
Now, did you know that was right?
I was between two. I went over it.
He has the list already.
I was going to say I'm impressed.
Yeah.
That's not exactly a word I learned when I took Spanish in high school.
Yeah, a lot of these I didn't know. It's kind of cool. I told them we're going to hang it up. We're going to keep one. We know. Yeah, it's good you guys had it down like that. You're getting good.
All right, so I put this on. It's like a backpack.
Wow.
So now I'm carrying in my clean air. And then the way the air gets from the bottle to my face is I have a mask that I put on. And then once I have my mask on, this connects to it. Like that.
Wow.
I'll put that on and I'll finish dressing out.
Yeah, it's no fun if you're not there.
Yeah.
No, de mi peso, ¿no?
No, claramente.
You might hear some beeps and stuff. Those are alarms. There's special alarms on it in case we get hurt. If we go down and we're laying there unconscious, then the alarm will start to go off so our other firefighters can find us.
Wow.
So if you stand for too long, it might start to make a little alarm.
Put it on in wrong order.
What's
It gets hot pretty quick.
what are those?
En español, niño.
Guantes. There you go.
Okay, so after I finish putting on my gloves,
Guantes.
there's nothing exposed. I'm fully protected from the fire.
See, he's got no skin anywhere.
Wow.
So now I'm ready to go in.
So if you ever see a monster that looks like Darth Vader
It's not a monster.
in the smoke, it's not a monster, it's just Steve. Okay? So come to him, don't run. A lot of times, some of the younger kids, you guys can take a picture with me.
Ya, pónganse ahí para que le saquemos una foto.
A lot of times the young kids will
Ok,
run.
voltea para adelante, ya pásate para adelante, mi amor, porque no se ve. Ok, Emma, pásate para adelante. Ok, thank you. Now,
Eso. Diego, tú atrás de Jan. Atrás de Jan.
Ana,
Ya.
and say cheese.
Jason!
¿Se ve Isabela? A ver.
Isabela, sí, Elizabeth. Ahí, ya, ok. A ver, cheese. 1, 2, 3.
La alarma.
That's the alarm, so he has to shake it so it goes away.
Okay.
That's actually
If he stays still, he starts like
Exactly.
going beeping?
Yeah, if you fall down, it'll get louder and louder and louder.
Fall down,
How
get
amazing.
hurt, and this will let people know where I am.
Because you're in the smoke, we can't see.
So yeah, this is what we were.
How
That's it.
fast you have to put, oh, how many minutes you do the food?
Well, when you're learning how to get all this on,
Yeah.
you have what? I think it's 90 seconds.
90, a minute and a half, yeah,
to get it all out.
through tests.
It has to be quick. You
That's
see
our
kids,
standard.
in
So
the
everything, and
in the
that's with
morning
the
you guys
bottle.
have to dress up
The
like
slowest
that.
part is putting on the bottle and getting the mask and
Importante
the
sería.
gloves. Those are
Yeah.
slow too because they get dry, get wet, they get strong. You can't take all that stuff.
Wow.
There we go. Take over.
Wow.
All right, yay!
Thank you so much.
So a few safety questions while we have you guys here. What do? Have you guys learned what happens if you're at the stove and your clothes catch, or you get too close to a candle and your shirt catches on fire? What should you do? Just shout it out.
Take it off.
Well, that's possible.
Stop, drop, and roll.
Yeah, stop, drop, and roll. The bad thing about taking off a shirt is you pull it over your face and you burn your face. So just stop. And what that means is don't run. Okay, your natural instinct is going to be to run. The running creates wind, and the wind makes the fire bigger. It's like when you blow on the fire at the barbecue, it blows, it gets more intense. So you just stop, you cover your face, you drop on the ground, and you roll, and it'll put the fire out. Okay, it's the best thing you can do.
Wow.
As far as school,
How many years does college
what a great question. I was just starting to say that. So you asked the perfect. You're a good
What is she
sidekick.
at?
How many years does it take to become
Study.
a fire of studying and stuff? So that's a good question. So as far as a career, the traditional route has changed quite a bit as time goes on. Nowadays, basically the best thing you can do is get advanced medical training, which is what we call emergency medical technician. So that takes about 1 year in school to get to that point. And then the other thing you can do is get an AS degree, which is a 2-year college degree. It's what they call fire science. Fresno City College has that program, and you get a regular college degree, a 2-year degree that you could then extend into a normal college is 4 years, right? So a 2-year degree is kind of a junior degree, but it's becoming our entry level now. You don't necessarily have to have college. You can do it with a lot of experience, but if you want to promote, like to become a captain or an engineer, or a captain now, soon to be engineers, a captain requires a 2-year college degree. A chief requires a 4-year degree. Okay? Italian chief. So that's a good question. So basically, it's a combination of college and experience. A lot of wannabe firefighters, what they'll do is they'll go to school, they'll go to the fire academy at the college that's trained you in all the basics and actually the science and some of the laws about firefighting and the procedures we have to use. And then you can work part-time doing the forest fires that you see in the summer, or on an ambulance. And then you start testing. In order to become a firefighter, you have to take a written test. It's competitive. And it's in basically math, reading, and writing. And that's the test. So you have to be pretty strong because whatever score you get on that written test is where you end up on the list. And there's thousands of people that usually take the test. So you got to be in the top, probably 100 to even have a chance. Okay, yep.
Do you guys take tests that you train in case you take radio?
Yeah, we do a lot of training. So we have a combination of written stuff that's on the computer, and then we go down and then the other stuff like the hands-on, the firefighting skills, the different tools. We have to go downtown usually to the training tower you see down by the 99 in Fresno, and we'll do fake fire drills. We'll do different situations, like we have a bunch of people we have to rescue, or we have a different type of fire, or maybe a gasoline truck fire. You know, different, all the different. That's the thing about firefighting. It's never the same call. It's always every call's different. So we never know what we're going to get. We could have a plane crash. That's very rare, but we do get those. We could have a plane crash, a car crash. We could have a skyscraper fire. We could have a fire in the forest. Anything can happen. So we have to train on all of that. That's a good question. So training is a big part of what we do during our days. A lot of our time is spent training. Yes.
Yeah, and like you said, you have to test to do this. What type of test do you do?
So the test, like the entry level test, would be reading. Like you'll have to read passages. It's written. You'll sit down in basically like a classroom and take a written test. And on there'll be stuff like reading passages, spelling, memory stuff. But you have to be able to read, and they'll ask you what was the noun and now or pronoun. You know, different stuff you learn in English class as you go, or literature class, and they'll just different things about reading comprehension. Or they'll have you read something, and then they'll say you have to answer questions based on it. Okay. Then the math is all the math. It goes up to about probably a high school, geometry. It's about geometry and algebra. It's about how high it gets. Fractions, dividing and multiplying and subtracting fractions. That type of math. So if you get to about the highest level in high school, math, that's about as high as the math goes. Then they'll do different things. They'll do situation questions, you know, like what would you do if this happened, stuff like that. So that's the written test. The other test is putting on all this stuff and stuff like that, and running around, pulling hoses, going up and down stairs, carrying big dummies, heavy, like pretending it's a person. So there's physical tests, there's the written test, and then you have to do some criminal tests. So if you have any kind of crimes, you guys don't seem like the type that always stay away from drugs and gangs, okay?
Yes.
Or bad people, because not just this job, but nowadays with computers, every job you ever get, even if you get arrested as a kid, if you get in trouble with the police or at school, your job, say you want to go be a scientist, or you want to go work at Google, or you want to be a police officer or a firefighter or a nurse or a doctor, they're going to find that on your record. They're going to be able to go through and find any trouble. So anytime you get around bad people, just go away. Leave them and don't be their friend, okay?
Make her arms.
Okay.
Is there any like fire dogs?
Good question. We do have a fire dog. What's the latest fire dog's name?
Man, can't think of
We had one that was being placed.
arson dog.
Yeah, nowadays what they are is they're arson dogs, and what they do is they, believe it or not, their dogs' noses are so good. How you know about how strong they can smell things? Well, we now can train the dogs so they can smell different chemicals, and they can tell whether or not it's gasoline, kerosene, plastic explosives like bomb making equipment. So one dog can, so he'll be able to find something. Say we have a fire and it's suspicious, like nothing would have caused this except somebody lighting it. The dog comes in and will sniff around, and he has different ways. He either sits or he scratches when he smells a chemical that's bad, and then we know what it is. He can even tell us basically what it is. So it's kind of.
So you have this dog in Fresno?
We have a dog here in Fresno. Yeah, we have a
Just one?
We have one. Yeah, and he's with one of our. We have fire investigators also that are police officers. They're firefighters, but they carry guns and they can arrest people. And they have trained like scientists to study what started the fire. And then if it's a bad person, they can arrest them and put them in jail. So those guys have the dog. Guys, and there's actually a girl that does that too. So they have the dog and the guns. Yes.
When you're done already with college, do you still train?
Yes, that's a great. You guys have some good questions. Yes, that's the thing about this job. Like I'm doing some right now on the computer. We have training that comes out on when things change. A lot of things change. Maybe the way we do something changes. Like we used to put a Band-Aid, one type of Band-Aid on a cut, and now we put a new type. And so when that new type of bandage comes out, we have to know exactly how to use it. So every little thing we do, we have to be trained on it. And as it changes, we have to continue to train on it. So every month we have a lot of training, both with reading, taking tests, and then we have to go downtown and do things like pulling the hose, or doing like I mentioned, different types of stuff that we do. So it's a good question. You have to train, you have to go to college, you have to go to school to get the job, and then once you get the job, throughout your career, you're going to be studying still. Okay, I'll go, you. Go ahead. Oh, she's first. Okay.
Where is the dog right now?
Good question. I think the dog actually goes home with one of our fire investigators named Lee, so I think he's at home. Yeah. It's a Labrador, right?
Oh.
Yeah.
It's a friendly, she's real friendly.
That's
And
my
then we
dog's
have, I know
type.
they used to be Dalmatians with the spots, right? And we
That's
did
my
have,
dog's type.
yeah, and we had one of those here too. One of our retired guys rides the big old-fashioned fire engine, which has the horses, and then the Dalmatian rides on that, and they do parades and stuff all over the state. Go ahead.
Do dogs train too?
Yeah, the dogs actually do train. They'll take them out and they'll throw like a rag with a little bit of gasoline or whatever on it, and they'll hide it where the dog doesn't know where it is, and then they let the dog out, and he has to be able to pass tests.
I think they do it every day.
Yeah, they train him all the time, so he stays keen to do it. And then the reward is not food; the reward's a toy.
Oh.
They like to play, so they get.
Do they ever get hurt?
Do they can get hurt. They have to be real careful with them. They have to make sure the fire's cool when they go in. There's no hot spots because the paws can get burned. The firefighters also use dogs for rescue, like for earthquakes. This dog's a different dog, but some fire departments have that too, where they can search buildings and find people. Those dogs are more prone to get hurt because they're in very unstable situations. Yep.
When are we gonna look inside?
All right. This is
Okay,
great.
let's go.
Let me show you.
One more
What we gotta
question.
know.
One more
Go
question
ahead.
over here.
What do the dogs wear so they don't get
They do have booties that they can put on their paws. It's like wearing shoes.
The fire
They
boot,
put
little fire boots.
little rubber booties on their paws, and then that way they can walk around and be around sharp objects. What's that?
Do they look cute with them?
You know, I'm sure they do. Doesn't sound like they look cute.
They have Velcro. It's like a sock.
I wanted to show you guys something. This is one of the neatest things that we have, and it's one of the best advances in the last
the fire's out.
20 years in the fire service. It's called a TIC, which stands for Thermal Imaging Camera. So what this does, again, we've talked about the smoke and how you don't want to breathe it. Well, it also, it keeps us from finding people quickly, because obviously if you can't even see your hand in front of your face because it's so smoky, then obviously you're just guessing, you're feeling as you crawl through a smoke-filled house looking for somebody that's trapped. These can see right through the smoke. I mean, I'm serious. It can be so smoky that you would put your hand in front of your face and you wouldn't see it. This can see right through it. And it picks up heat imaging. So the lighter the color of the image, the warmer it is compared to everything else. So, like if I pointed at Captain Dom, you see his face there? So it's white right now, but it's not because he's 500 degrees. It's just his face is hotter than the air around him. So that's why it shows up white. If you were to hold up a lighter next to him, then in comparison his face wouldn't look that white. But if you pointed at the flame, it would be a bright white. So that allows us to find the fire quickly, but also to find somebody who's unconscious, laying on the floor, laying on a bed, or laying behind a doorway. We don't have to feel around blindly. We can actually locate them. We can go walking through the house, searching, and do it quickly.
When we go into a fire, it's completely black. You can't see anything. You can't see your hand right here because of the smoke is black and there's no light.
And it's really hard to for you to understand how well this works. I mean, it'd be neat if we could set up a smoke room and you could really see how well it works. But I mean, what you're seeing right now is what you would see even if it was so smoky we couldn't see each other right now.
Wow.
Yeah.
What color does it turn when you're really cold?
Well, then when the colder the temperature, the darker it shows up. So we have used these actually even on river rescues. Sometimes Dom and I used to be part of the rescue team, and we would go on calls of people, say they tipped their canoe over in the river in the middle of the night. And we have used this, and you scan the river, and if somebody, their head's up above water and they're hanging onto a bush, well, the water looks black. And then all of a sudden, hey, there's this white face out of the water.
Wow.
Check this out. This might work here. If you can get Steve, will show by hand on your right.
Okay, so you see where his hand is right now. Okay? Now, he's going to hold it there, and now he's transferring the heat from his hand to that door. Now watch when he moves his hand.
My hand's gone.
You see there's still a handprint
The hand's still there.
because
My hand's over
he
here.
slightly increased it more than the temperature that the rest of the door was. Sorry, it's not the screen's a little scratched up. He's getting used a lot.
Yeah.
Is it waterproof?
That is waterproof. Good question. Yeah, it has to be. It's a good question because we get soaked. We get soaked with water. So yep, it is.
Okay. Now you guys, I guess, want to. We don't want to go through the engine.
Yeah, let's just not. Let's just go look at the kitchen.
Yeah, go ahead.
How many of those do you guys have?
We have one on every engine or truck in the city.
Okay.
And it's only in the last 10 years or so that these used to be very, very expensive, where we only had a few of them in the entire city. And now, they've come down, they're more reasonable, and their use is just
Very
been
useful
proven.
for us.
So it's very necessary to do rescues. So now every engine or every truck has one of these. So basically every team of 3 or 4. But all right, well, he's going to go around to the other side, and we'll just have you climb on through here. And if there's anything that you see that you want to know about, go ahead and ask.
Ahí se te tengo eso.
Yeah, you may want to hand off your binders and papers. Sure.
El pico, Emma. El pico está allá. Ese es el pico, ¿verdad?
Sí.
Ahí está.
Súbela para que lo vea, porque yo creo que ahí no lo ve.
Que sí abren todo para que...
Ah, buena idea.
No, y si el insecto se va a matar,
Sí.
tal, y que lo vean.
Ojalá que tenga
So let's hold on just a second. Let them sort of look around real quick before we climb it in.
Why are the stairs so high?
Well, because it's all rigged. If it was any lower, we'd be dragging on the ground.
Los niños estaban tirando agüita con la manguera hacia afuera, pleno verano.
Yeah,
Y de
those are big
repente,
tires.
ay, lamentamos mucho,
What's
no tenemos
that?
que ir. Puta, los niños quedaron así como,
No,
se fueron.
See the tanks in there. So you can just leave it like that for now. I'll put it in. Yeah, so then